Hey everyone, welcome to Movie Theater Reviews. I'm the Moving Picture, and today I'll be reviewing the Alamo Drafthouse Lower Manhattan. The Alamo Drafthouse is a privately owned cinema chain that does Hollywood and independent film screenings. They also do a lot of archival screenings that are geared towards younger generations who like nostalgia and cult classics. They have been expanding for about the last 10 years and opened their first New York location in 2016. Now, there had already been a similar dine-in movie theater that opened up a few years earlier called Nighthawk, so New Yorkers weren't completely unfamiliar with the business model and how things worked. I'll be comparing Nighthawk and Alamo Drafthouse in a future video, so if you're interested in that, feel free to tune in. In 2020, during the earlier part of the pandemic, Alamo Drafthouse had filed for bankruptcy, but by 2021, they were able to reorganize and started opening up several new locations, including ones in Manhattan, DC, and St. Louis. So with all that background information out of the way, let's get right into it. The Alamo Drafthouse Lower Manhattan opened up in the heart of the financial district in October of 2021. What brought me to this location was a nostalgia screening. They were showing all 3 Lord of the Rings movies, extended versions, over 3 consecutive weekends, and I was really excited to check them out. So what do I like about this movie theater? What I really like is that it's a new construction. When you see the interior, it's very sleek, it's very intentional, and you get a really good idea of the brand. When you walk around the theater, there's old movie posters everywhere, and there are even props from some of the films. I always appreciate a modern aesthetic, and even though I love older, opulent movie palaces, such as the theater they have at the Village East, I always appreciate something new. I found the in-theater experience to be very pleasant. The staff was always courteous and helpful, and I really like that they take your credit card at the beginning so that you don't have to deal with the hassle of filling out a receipt and being distracted by the servers 15 minutes before the movie ends. In my previous experiences, I always felt like I could do away with the frills of the dine-in movie experience, but at the Alamo Drafthouse, I really didn't have a problem with it. I didn't find the servers to be distracting at all, and I actually forgot that they were there. And with the extremely long Lord of the Rings movies, it's nice to be able to order some additional food without having to get up from my seat. The digital projection was crisp and clear, and I was really impressed by the large size of the movie screen. I was worried beforehand because when I was buying my tickets, I noticed that there weren't a lot of seats in the theater. But in fact, each row had a great viewing angle. I also had no issues with the audio. The sound in each screening was perfect. It was all-encompassing, and I feel like I got more out of the movie this time than any time I've seen it in the past. Although there's a lot to like about this theater, there are also a few faults. The main thing I want to talk about is the location. The Alamo Drafthouse Lower Manhattan is specifically located in the financial district, which is extremely sparsely populated, except maybe Battery Park City where people live, but there's a Regal over there. The other thing is that it's in an office building in the 3rd sub-basement. And there are no demarcations outside telling you that there's a movie theater there, at least not that I saw. And once you walk into the building, you have to go down an escalator 3 flights. It takes about 5 minutes. By the 3rd week, I realized exactly where the elevator was, and I was able to beeline right to there and get into the movie theater in about a minute. But it's really not obvious. They really need more signage there. They need a lot more help. So here's the pro tip. Once you enter the building, you're walking towards the escalators. Look on your left. There's one set of elevators, but don't go down those. You go a little bit further, and there's a second set of elevators that have the Alamo Drafthouse logo. Take that down, and you're good to go. Speaking of the sparsely populated nature of the financial district, on the weekends, it's always a ghost town. Even though I appreciate this because I like to drive on Sundays, and I can find parking anywhere in that area, I'm sure it's not good for business. Movie theaters thrive on weekend activity, so hopefully they get lucky or something. I wish them the best. Another issue I had was in the theater itself and the orientation of the tables. They're rectangular shaped and they face away from you, kind of parallel to the way your legs are going. So think of portrait versus landscape. It wasn't like a school desk. And The first inclination I had when I sat down was to turn the table towards me so that it was more like a desk. But you can't do this. And the result is that you can only really use about 20% of the table. And then since the chairs recline, you can use even less of it. So I think that's a change that they probably should make, but I'm sure it'll be way too expensive to do. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the food, because the dining experience is really important to the brand of the Alamo Drafthouse. I mean, one big selling point is that you can be served dinner while watching the movie. Now, I'm not saying the food was bad, but given the overall way that it's marketed, I thought it was disappointing. On the menu, you get the idea that you're getting this gourmet food, and the price point kind of reflects that. But each time, I felt like I didn't get enough. So the first day I went there, I ordered the chicken fingers and French fries. I got about 3 chicken fingers, which was pretty large, pretty sizable, and then 10 French fries, which was very disappointing. I think anyone who gets fries with their meal thinks they're gonna get like a big plate of fries, and I just didn't get that. I also wanted to pick my dipping sauce, but I wasn't able to do that. What I ended up getting was a thing of ketchup and cheese sauce. The ketchup was okay. It felt like it was some kind of like homemade ketchup. It definitely wasn't Heinz. I mean, Heinz is fine. But, you know, I get that they put a little extra effort in. The cheese sauce, however, I was not very happy about. It seemed to clash with everything, and I really would have liked something sweet. I think that something sweeter goes better with chicken fingers, like a honey mustard or a barbecue sauce. I know those are basic, but sometimes keeping things basic is the way to go. The second time I went, I got the loaded fries, and it was okay. I really like loaded fries as a like a comfort food type of meal, and there was nothing stand out about it. On the menu, it said, "Oh, we have smoked bacon and, you know, aioli sauce, whatever," but nothing. I just didn't really notice anything. So the third time I went, I decided to keep things really basic and just get popcorn. They did have some add-ons that you could put, like truffle seasoning or Parmesan, but I didn't go for that. Parmesan, I always feel like it's not worth the money because it always tends to fall to the bottom of the bowl, which is just annoying, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. And then truffle seasoning, you know, it always sounds nice. It sounds very gourmet and fancy, but it's always just an added amount. And I don't think they really get the truffle essence. Truffle is it's very high-end type of food. So people put the name to make it sound fancier, but I don't really think you're getting that value. I think that despite the pandemic and all of the closings, movie theaters are going to be here to stay. As long as the people building the theaters continue to expand on the experience, people will really want to go out and pay the money to go to the movies if they feel like they're going to have a first-class experience. I also really like that these newer theaters are kind of catering more towards cinema lovers and embracing the history of cinema with the archival screenings. Now, another thing I want to mention is that New York City is a really weird market for opening movie theaters. There's not a lot of space, and when you do open a theater, it's going to be in some weird place, and I think they have to have some sort of gimmick in order to justify the amount of rent they have to pay for the location. So that's my review. I wanted to give it a rating, and my rating system is a 0 or a 1. 0 meaning don't go, 1 meaning, yeah, probably check it out. So I give the Alamo Drafthouse a 1. Definitely check it out and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'm The Moving Picture, and I'll see you next time with another movie theater review.